You found yourself at Meyerland Radio, where we aim to bring the Love Nikki community together just by talking to each other. We hope that you enjoy today's show and consider joining our community on Discord, Instagram, YouTube, Reddit, where else are we at? Who cares? Right after this.
Hey, Craig.
Hey, Craig. So I'll just do, today we're just going to be talking a little bit about the sort of the places of Myraland and just some sort of little lore information, little fun facts, anything we've sort of dug out that is more sort of relevant to the story as a whole. Because I think it's something that does come up quite a bit. It's what's going on in that place? What's that nation all about? So yeah, we're just going to be talking about that. And I will start off a little bit on one that, to be honest with you, I've not got too much to say on, which is the North Kingdom. I kind of view it as a little bit of the Skyrim of Love Nikki. It's just very cold. It's very military based. The culture's all kind of gathered around that, essentially. So yeah, literally my fact on it is geography. It north, it cold.
Pretty much.
It's pretty much. There's a few interesting things about it. One of the things that kind of comes up quite a bit, theme-wise, is that there is a flower that grows there called the flame flower, which is a flower of heroes in the north. It's a flower in the north whose petals are fire red, blooming on the coldest winter night. Which I think is probably a little bit symbolic of North itself, really. It's this, obviously, the flower's got to be pretty strong to grow in that cold climate, which is very representative of North Kingdom itself. Yeah, because, like I said, it's military. Culture-wise, they are riding motorbikes, hunting, shooting, camping. You've got your sort of special operatives, like your sexy bad girl outfit that comes from there. You've got they do celebrate Christmas. We know that about them. They drink a drink called butterbeer. The Christmas tree in the corner is brightly decorated and half-drunken guests are singing songs. Such a peaceful, joyous sight is rare in the North Kingdom. That's from Louis Dreamweaver. Politically, the political structure of it, we know that there are kings there. There's a king referenced to quite a few times, both in the sort of the... Oh God, my brain's gone blank. The time diary in the journey there. You've got some quotes again from different outfits. A North King planned to give his wife this decorated egg. Enchanted by that eternal love, a girl was born from within. That's from a Psalm of Time. Again, that's just shows knowledge there are kings there. I don't actually know who the kings are at the moment, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong there. We know there are lords that control the army. We know that from the Icewind War Chant story. And it is the kingdom basically that you've got Cloud Empire and Apple Federal, who are they are the big tycoons in Myraland. North Kingdom is who they fear. Their military might is amazing. Little fun facts is that in the North, everyone must enlist once they reach a certain age, regardless of your gender. So gender equality, which is great, but everyone has to enlist, which I suppose is not so great. It doesn't necessarily mean they join in the army, just that they enlist, or I suppose it might be sort of the sort of territorial reserves. your known residents we got there. Well, your obvious ones, we have Nidhogg and we have Louis. And obviously they're the ones we sort of know the most about. And I mean, you can see it in them that I think they're probably quite stereotypical of, like, personality wise, of your sort of your North people. You're very sort of stoic, military fellas. You got Ozeka, who I might be saying that completely wrong. And then you've got the other one that we know, and like the biggest story wise, is the Icewind War Chant lady. And what I will do is I will actually link. I found a really lovely manga of hers. Like, it's just like a little short story of her visiting her lover's grave. Essentially, yeah. Even their lifetime suit is like this big wartime story. And I mean, well, it's got Shade as a resident of North, where I suppose he is at the moment. And again, that's very linked in with his style. Your other thing about North that you do have is your Nameless Knights, who Louis is the member of. Initially very much considered a legend. Even Louis didn't believe them. Legend says in the North Kingdom there's a nameless chivalric order, so that's how we know they are from the North. The shadow-like invincible force only appears in a time of war, fighting for the peace of North. And yeah, if someone has anything to add or wants to go on to a different nation, I'm going to go and dig out the manga.
No, that was great. Yeah, thank you for telling us all that.
Oh.
Which nation do we want to do next?
Should we?
You guys can request.
Yeah,
post your request in chat.
Yeah, try and save Cloud and Moon for last, I'd say.
Oh yeah. Ooh, Lilith?
Ooh, Lilith.
Athena?
Athena.
Did she die?
Is Athena dead? Okay.
I just forgot my push to talk was on.
Oh no!
Oh my god.
Yeah, anyway. So...
Is your push to talk on?
I need to... give me a sec, I need to, like, change the key.
Oh yeah, I understand. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, I had it for like the amount of time it took me to work out the push to talk. I just have it off now. So
yeah, it's a pain, but yeah, Lilith is one of the most developed, like, story-wise nation. Probably not as much as Cloud, but there's a lot of really cool information there. So excited.
Yeah.
So it's so cute.
Yeah, it's like all like fairy tales and like Lolita fantasy. So I guess starting with like the history of just Lilith. So it wasn't always called Lilith. It used to be called the Kingdom of Ninir, which we know from Shining Nikki if any of you guys are playing that. And so this nation is just, they really value outer beauty, like to a point where like people who are beautiful are can gain power and fame and recognition, while people who are uglier are like ostracized from the community. And so we see this in the way that Lilith is ruled. At least like back in year 0, of course. So how it works is that the people of Lilith actually, they vote on which person they think represent the nation's value the most, which basically just means whoever is the most beautiful. So we don't know exactly when it was renamed to Lilith, but it probably has something to do with the fact that in Year Zero, the ruling queen is called Queen Lilith. Of course, the political structure is different now in year 680, which is when Love Nikki is set. And so we have our monarchs, of course. We have Queen Inari and, Prince/King Royce. But we also have, we had Prime Minister Nidhogg, before the whole betrayal happened. Yeah, and oh no, you didn't know that, Beck? I'm so sorry. Okay.
I had absolutely no idea. You ruined the whole story for me.
He goes a bit murder, death, kill.
Dare he?
Yeah, I guess some notable places in Lilith are, you have Sissia, which is where the Star Sea is played. You have Wintermount, which is where they hold the Designer Sea Party. And you also have the Royal City, which is where the fantasy styling contests are held. So we visit Lilith a lot during the chapters. And of course also Helavi, which is the wedding island for happiness. Because, Starlit is also from Lilith. Yeah, and as for notable people, pretty much just Nanaari, Royce, kind of Nidhogg, before the huge spoiler. Of course we have Bobo and Yvette and Starlit. And yeah.
Lilith I like, because it's
It's very cute and
it's very well on the surface.
Yeah, on the surface.
Yeah. Should we move on to another one? Shall we pick?
Which one do you guys want to do?
Pick on one of Beck's, rather. I think Apple Wastelands.
Ruin?
Ruin?
I can do Ruin.
Do Ruin? Yeah.
We can do Ruin. All right, let's go. All right.
Only one is Cloud. Say to the end.
Yeah. Cloud. We got to do at the end because that one could be long.
Yeah.
Saving the best for last, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. So Ruin is, oh my gosh, it's just one of my favorites. It's so cool. But you guys, if you guys were here for the first podcast, I was talking about Aurora Oval, which I can totally pronounce. Basic history is that we know they went through a huge natural disaster, wiped out a lot of their progress, a lot of their technology. They had to have people from the mainland help them rebuild. And because of this natural disaster, there's a lot of gaps in the history, so we don't know that much just because it was all wiped out. We just giant gaps in their history. But there's a few other things we know about their general history. It's described as once prosperous in War and Ruins, which could be referring to the period of time before the natural disaster. So we know at least one point it was really, it was doing really well, but could have been totally wiped out. Another thing about their history is that they seem to be hiding some sort of secret about powerful magic. Basically, in a lot of the descriptions and lore, the lines between technology and magic, when it's referred to in Ruin Island, are kind of blurred. In the magical star chart item, you find out that it describes the magic of it as both technology and magic, which is pretty interesting to me. Maybe could imply that their technology isn't just technology, that they have some magic too, which is really cool to me. Going on to geography, basically, again, it's an island, so but Royce describes it as an advanced nation built on an industrial wasteland, which is pretty interesting to me. And basically, it's implied that it's made out of steel and iron. So I don't know, like, is that what the base of the island is made of? I'm not sure, but that's definitely what it seems to be implying, which is kind of terrifying. But it could be an artificial island based on that. Looking at the places in Ruin, the only place we really know of is Dimension Square, which is basically in the Void Singer event where Nikki and Momo visited, but they visited virtually. So, we don't know much about what it's actually like there because they were only there virtually for a little period of time. We don't even know if any humans live there normally. One thing that they mentioned in this event is that they keep the air really cold to make sure that the robots there don't overheat. So that was pretty interesting to me. Like, people actually live there with it, them keeping the the air really cold. That would be interesting to me if people actually do live there. But the outfits of Ruin Island suits don't really reflect that. So that was just a fun fact about Dimension Square. Oh wait, I have a picture of it. That is just pasted in chat, Dimension Square, so you can actually see the city below it. It's pretty cool. I would maybe want to live there, but I don't really like it. I don't really like the cold that much, so. Sorry, one sec. Moving on to their culture, basically, they're sort of secluded from the rest of Mirrorland. They kind of keep to themselves. They don't really contact the mainland that often, but they still love styling. They're not all just killing each other over there. And they really like putting technology and styling together, which is why we get all those cool suits that have all those electronic parts. That's part of their culture, that they like to include technology in their styling. They're super into video games. Like, almost half of all the suits that we have from Ruin are actually just like characters from video games, which is pretty interesting to me. Like Volley Lucia and Angelica, they're from a video game called Interstellar. Thunder Destroyer, Explosion, those are all video game suits. To Momo's Adventure is about Momo playing a video game, so they're really into video games there. And Vocaloid, basically from the Void Singer event, that's pretty much about Vocaloid, and Dazzling Idol is one too, I'm pretty sure. But they do have a good emphasis on education there. Like, Newton from Deep Sea Secret is a scientist. Clack, who is the character from Humanoid Source Code, is a coder. And the person from War on Ruins is a scientist. He's a dude, so he's not represented by the suit, but that is what the suit is about. Moving on to political structure, we don't really know anything about their politics at all. We don't even really know many people from Ruin. We know that Doris, who is Crime Buster, her suit's actually an apple, but she's from Ruin Island. It's from the item descriptions. And though we have a lot of suit characters from there, like I said, a lot of them are fictional characters that are in video games. And a lot of them are also robots. So it's very interesting how few humans we actually know about from Ruin Island. And I think Liz actually has a theory about that, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it kind of links in a little bit with the show sort of last week as well. It is kind of like a separate theory, but they do sort of link together. And it's basically that I don't think anyone is in Ruin. I think Ruin is just an island run by AI, basically. The more remembered, so to speak, a person there is, the stronger their AI is. I suppose more would be kept in to sort of keep it running. And also, like, I actually wasn't... I must have missed a bit where it sort of like kept cold there as well. That kind of is very interesting to me. It filters into that theory a little bit as well. It's not a very solid theory yet. I have more research to do, more strings on corkboards to put up. But but yeah, to me, I don't.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that. Even though they definitely had people in the past, like it would have been, I guess, before the War on Ruins. There's a vague accident referenced in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if my thing is beeping or not, but yeah,
pretty much it is, because it's like whenever you hear about real people, they're just from there in the past. There's not anyone there now. they've all just sort of like left the place.
Yeah, pretty much. It is interesting when I was going through all the suits just to see that's a robot. That's a fictional character. All right, okay, I see how it is. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Ruin, unless someone else has something to say about them. But it's a big mystery to me sometimes.
I think they're good. Should we do Apple next for Bake?
Okay, let's do
So
Apple.
it's not Bake just talking all in one with Apple and Cloud together then.
Okay, so Apple. So the history of Apple is basically it actually used to be part of the Pigeon Kingdom, but they fought for their independence and won, and they split off and became the Apple Federal. And that happened around sometime before the year 0. It's revealed to us in Shining Nikki. Another really cool thing is that 2 of the largest businesses in Apple have actually been around since like the year 0. The Apple Federal Group and the Mercury Group, which was founded by my bae, Mercury, who is also my profile picture. And they're still around now in the year 680, which is like really cool. They're the largest and most populated nation. For geography, I've never actually realized this, but they're actually landlocked. They're surrounded by a bunch of other nations, North, Cloud, I believe Pigeon to the south. But like west of Apple is just a bunch of mountains, and there's like nothing there. And I'm like, what's there? Come on, you gotta tell me what's there. Like, there's pretty much just 4 seasons. It's very like. Dude. As for culture, it's very much inspired by I'd say America. But it's like it's the new modern country, and a lot of people actually come to immigrate to Apple for jobs or education, such as, last week we talked about Demon Doctor. He's from Ruin, but he moved to Apple for his education. And a lot of other characters are known for moving to Apple from other nations as well. But I can't remember them right now. As for political structure, they have a president, they have like senators. They vote for them, and it's actually pretty interesting because a character that we know and love, Kimmy, has expressed interest in running for politics sometime in the future. A fun fact, there's a stereotype that people at Apple like eating apples. Also, a lot of Apple citizens do not agree with this. They're just like, that's a stupid stereotype. Non-residents, we have Kimmy, we have Orlando, we have Raid or Reed, however you pronounce it. Shade used to be an Apple back when he was still Flynn, and from Shining Nikki, we know that there's Lowen, who I will go post a picture of right now because why not?
He's so cute.
He's adorable. Look at him.
That's just such a cute picture.
I know, he's adorable. Also, a photo of Mercury, who was born in pigeon, but he moved to apple. And that's about it for apple. Okay. And I love Mercury, and he's mine, okay? Goodbye.
Yeah, a lot of the characters from Shining Nikki have sort of very much taken over the love of a lot of the Love Nikki boys. So we got I'm gonna go on to Pigeon, and like I said, I felt really bad. Everyone else has been so organised. I'm kind of winging mine a little bit. But history, the history of Pigeon, we sort of know it used to be this has been noted down for me. I know nothing about Shining Nikki.
I wrote it for you.
Yeah, this has come from Shining Nikki. That it used to be ruled by a king of light elves who is Mercury's father, who killed his father and replaced him with his half sister. That's what we know with that side of it from the Shining Nikki lore. We know Syat was held imprisoned there before his death, basically. Again, I have many theories surrounding why Syat might be there and what he might have done or not done. When after the a lot of the stories of Pigeon we sort of know from the very sort of when we very first sort of would have started the game. So a lot of it would have been, well, I sort of forgot a lot of it when I went back to sort of do the lore later on and things. When I first sort of like got really into it. But the we know that Elle, who basically won during the 9 Days War, that's where she's sort of queen of, essentially, now. So I'm just quickly pulling something. So yeah, that's like the more human side of Pigeon. But what I find interesting about Pigeon, and I've said, to be honest with you, if I had to go and live in a Maryland nation, I think I'd want to go and live in Pigeon because they are fascinating. It's just absolutely fascinating to me in Pigeon. They've got your humans there, you've got your elves there, you've got your vampires there, that although they will sort of come in later. You've got elves, dwarves, humans, and goblins all live there. I don't know if any goblins have been met either in like I don't think there's been any met in
there hasn't been any goblins introduced, but they've been mentioned, and like
they get mentioned, but we've not met a goblin. We've met an elf. We've met Cloris, who is the guardian of Pigeon Forest, which is where I want my hut built. We've met a dwarf. We've got the lovely Debbie, who's just adorable, and I love her so much. I'm sort of like jumping around a little bit. Geography-wise, we know it's in the southern part of Maryland to the east. There's lots of forests around there. It's got a very, very mysterious lake. It's spelled Bhowali lake in the time diary, but in another suit, which I'll briefly touch on because I think it's very relevant to Pigeon, it's Lake Bhowali. Much like Lilith, it's very fairy tale, but unlike Lilith, where that's very sort of a lot of their styling, it's very sort of cute and you're sort of Lolita type fairy tale. Pigeon is your dark Grimm Brothers fairy tale. They're a very magical based kingdom. Style wise, it's very reminiscent of a lot of it is very reminiscent of sort of like your more traditional European. You've got everything ranging from your sort of your masquerade sort of ball gowns. You've got all of that sort of thing. You've got like I forgot to write down the name of it, but one of the towns up the north is like where your Heidi song comes from, and that's that very sort of pastoral, still that sort of style. Your political structure, as I say, you got Queen Elle with her Iron Rose, and again when you first start playing it, they very much are the seen to be like the enemy of the story. She's sending out her Iron Rose stylist to go and steal all these designs and all the rest of it. But we're starting to see now, obviously, with other things that have happened, and we do find out later on that there is more reason behind it all. I mean, we know quite a lot of characters from there. What people might not know or might not have realised, you've got Queen Elle, you've got Ace, who's obviously one of the common travel companions, someone that you see quite a lot. She is actually Queen Elle's sister. You've got excuse me. You've got Sophia, who is from there, and our favourite boy, Sapphire, would have been from there as well, presumably, because we know Sophia is the heir to the Phantom Thief family. And who's the Phantom Thief? It's our boy Sapphire. Most other people we've met have been like people from more the sort of the Iron Rose. But the what I was saying about where we found out about the Lake Bavali from, it's a suit which I am to slightly say back because it does sort of describe a little bit. I think it kind of links everything quite nicely in with what sort of pigeons like. It's and I think a lot of people didn't realise it. It's a suit called Flower Feather. And I will grab a picture for you, but it's basically the stars on the surface of Lake Bavali ripple as the wind blows. Angie, who's essentially like your sort of angel, she looks like, for nice little wings, carefully landed on the bank. And basically she sits there at the lake combing her hair while listening to this little boy playing the harp, who he's actually a little boy Cloris. You've got fairies passing by, and ripples left in the water from the fairies is you see a reflection underneath the water, who is Xavier, who again we'll speak more about him in a later thing with more Blood Moon, who's actually Cloris's twin, but he's a vampire who's under the water. So yeah, it's kind of a place where your magical meets your light magic, your dark magic. They're working on things themselves in the background with what's going on in the main story, but I think that their hands are pretty much mostly full with trying to keep this Lake Bavali is basically the gateway to this underworld where your kindred and your vampire all live, and their hands are pretty much probably taken up by that. So yeah, it's just this very, very dark fantasy, and most of your dark suits that we get come out, a lot of our debuts that we've had recently, all your demony ones and the like, they've all been pigeons. It's a weird European dark fairy tale mashup, basically. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Liz.
I don't know if anyone else has got anything to add to that.
Don't think I do. That was good though.
It's good. And yeah, and I think it kind of leads on like at least some of the sort of fantasy things and like the things to do with the there's certain things to do with a lot of the time with sort of prophecies and things like that come up, which I think leads quite nicely into Wasteland, which you're going to talk about.
Yes, it's wasteland time, guys. Everyone's favorite nation. Let's go.
I love
Let's get
it.
some hype. So just to get right into it, wasteland, we all know it's sort of Egypt plus sort of Middle East plus Native American, etc. sort of nation that we're looking at. But looking at its history, we don't have a ton of facts about its history, but we do know a little bit about how they record their history. This was an interesting fact to me. So they use nodding in order to keep records in the wasteland, which we know from Tribe Totem. And that's actually based on a real life cultural thing called, I hope I don't pronounce this wrong, but it's called Qipu, Q-U-I-P-U. And it's basically a recording device fashioned from strings, historically used by a number of cultures in the region of Andean South America. So basically, Wasteland sort of draws from that real life tradition. They also used it in ancient China and native Hawaii, but that tradition specifically is from South America, Native Americans. So that is how they record their history in Wasteland. Another thing about how they record their history is, I don't know if you guys remember the character called Cassandra from Astral Islets. Islets? I don't know how to pronounce that.
Islet.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
But that's the suit that character is from, and basically she's that girl who's like sitting on a giant book, and you know that giant book that people spam everywhere. That book records all of the history and the future of Wasteland. It's called the Fate Book, and only she really knows where it comes from. She can see the past and the future because of that. So, and it's brought to her by the wind, which is interesting to me. Basically, that leads into some of their culture. They have a lot of divination sort of in Wasteland. That's like a huge theme in a lot of their suits. And one of the main ways that they get their information, the divination, is from the wind. In the main story, we learn about, we meet this diviner called M from Windvale tribe, and she could basically tell things about the future. When they were going to go look for the miracle scroll, I don't know if you guys remember this, like chapter 14, they were like, we got to find this cool scroll, and and they meet this woman called M, and she's a fortune teller, and she says there's two groups who are looking for the miracle scroll right now, and Nikki and her group is one of them, but she basically can tell the future because of the wind, and also in Soul Seer, the suit, that character can also tell the future because of the wind. It talks about the wasteland, the tribes, and everything. It's a quote from that suit. So that is a recurring theme throughout a lot of wasteland suits. And another part of their divination is based on the stars, and this is from Star Priest. Basically, this suit is actually pretty interesting to me. I don't want to get too much into suit lore, but that's how we know a lot of stuff about Wasteland. So, from Star Priest, we learned that the character there is a priest who can listen to the stars to tell the future, and they get this message saying that there's a slaughter that's going to come on the Mirrorland. And the priest wakes up, and she's not sure if it's an omen of the future or if it's a dream. It's sort of a mystery, but that's sort of a link into the main story of, war to come. So yeah, they use this star divination and they use this wind divination in order to tell the future, and it's a huge part of their culture. But yeah, going on to their geography, basically, I have a map real quick. Thank you, Liz. So this is the map of Wasteland. So, so as you can see, the north part of it and the western part of it is pretty desert, and the south part of it, southeast, is very forested. So that's the part that basically borders Pigeon. So it's not actually all desert like you might imagine. It's got some pretty varied stuff, and there's actually some mountains in there too. You can see Wind Deep, which is a pretty interesting location. It's basically this very forested mountainous area, and they have this giant like valley, and there's this woman who rides a griffin there. That's the Wind Deep legend suit that Liz just posted in the chat. And basically, once you reach this chasm, it's pretty cool. You can hear these giant winds blowing around everywhere while you walk closer to it. But once you reach this chasm, the wind stops, and there's like hidden treasure down there. That's basically Wind Deep, one of the locations in Wasteland, which I find pretty cool because you expect it to be all desert like they say, but there's some really cool mountain areas that are tied into the lore too. Also, one of the main places that we visit in the main story is the Windvale Forest and the Whisper Tribe. I talked about that a little bit, but basically Windvale Tribe is this mysterious tribe inside the Windvale Forest, and that's where the Miracle Scroll is. And there's this tribe outside of the forest called the Whisper Tribe, and they protect the Windvale Tribe, but that's they don't really know why they're protecting it or what they're protecting. That was just like sort of a task that was given to them a long time ago, and they fulfill that. So that's why the Windvale Tribe is such a mystery to everyone, because even the tribe protecting it doesn't know what's going on in there. So, but yeah, Nikki was about to go into Windvale Forest and discover the secret to this Windvale Tribe in Wasteland, but then she got this message that she had to go save Lunar, and so she went to go do that, and we never found out, so we'll find out eventually, hopefully. I'll be very sad if we don't find out what's inside that forest, because it's pretty cool to me. Continuing on to their culture, which I already talked about a bit about their divination and fortune-telling culture. They also have a lot of hunting, especially for the men. That's a big part of their culture. And this was something interesting. So they have this sacrificing ceremony, but you know how there's like that whole blood curse thing? They actually sacrifice design materials, not people, apparently. So that is one part of their culture as well. Going on to their political structure, we don't really know a ton about this. It's sort of one of those countries that's divided up into a lot of different tribes that don't necessarily, as far as I know, they don't necessarily talk to each other that much, so I don't know if they have any sort of capital or anything like that, but they're not very concerned with material wealth or power. They don't really get involved in that sort of stuff. So that's pretty much what we know about their politics. Going on to some fun facts. Girls in the Republic of Wasteland love the color green because it's the color of grass and leaves and the forest, which we know from an item description. And they're also very much stereotyped by other nations for pretty much like eating meat all the time. Basically, in Lunar's Dreamweaver, we find out that her mom pretty much was telling her all these stereotypes about the countries, and and basically her mom pretty much told her, oh yeah, people in Wasteland, they just eat meat all the time. So that's all Lunar really knew about it when she was a kid. Which is pretty interesting to me. But going on to the people of Wasteland, so we meet pretty much, we don't have a ton of characters from this nation, but we do have Tuda from chapter 13. He's this kid, and his story, if you don't remember, is pretty much Ransa from the Iron Rose came and she took over his whole tribe, the Poda tribe, and she locked him up. But he managed to escape, and he came across Nikki, and they were eating at this restaurant, this barbecue restaurant, because people in Wasteland just eat meat all the time, and he was eating some of the scraps under their table, and they were like, "What's this kid doing here?" And he's like very reluctant at first. Like he was very distrustful of like foreigners, which could be sort of a hint to their overall culture. I'm not sure, but that was his personal perspective. And eventually he managed to warm up to Nikki and her friends, and he said, "Okay, so I have this issue where my dad is in a coma and Ransa is totally taken over," and they helped him basically reclaim his tribe. And then he was like, "I'm going to go travel more." So that was Tuda's story. He's a good kid, but yeah. And we also know Annabelle, she is not a resident of Wasteland, but I figured I'd talk about her too because she really likes the Wasteland. You know, she's the manga artist, and she wanted to visit Wasteland and sort of include that in her manga, and because she found it a very romantic location, so she actually went there and saw Nikki there in like chapter 13 or 14, one of those two, when they were in the Wasteland. So yeah, that's pretty much what we know about Wasteland. Hopefully that was enough.
Yeah, until we get the hopefully next will be a Wasteland lifetime.
Oh my gosh, I would be so happy.
Hopefully.
That would be awesome.
I guess Cloud is next, right?
Yeah, the last one.
Best for last.
Okay, best for last, guys. So, the history of the Cloud Empire is basically Cloud, along with Pigeon, is actually one of the oldest nations in your land. We know that in Shining Nikki in the year 0, there was an argument going on about what the true style of Cloud should be, whether it should be the modern style of Cloud, like, or a flowy goddess-like style, or a very traditional and proper style. And I don't know which one won, but it's also described in the Tower of Zen suits, aka that one cloud pavilion we have, that there was a king and a queen who built this tower called the Tower of Zen, and they ascended to the heavens with it. Geography. We know that the north is very cold, obviously, because it's the north. It's very mountainous, it's very snowy, and there's even snow leopards there, as we know from that one recent cloud event with the snow leopards. The south is like, it's closer to Lilith, and Lilith is really warm. It's really like, it's a very nice place to live. Culture. Cloud is mainly inspired by, I'd say, ancient China. But there's a lot of influence from other, like, Asian countries and other time periods as well. We see a lot of suits from, I'd say, like, modern China. We also see, like, we had that Cambodian/Thai suit recently. There's a few Vietnamese ao dai in the future, and it's known that they wear a hanbok in Northern Cloud, which comes from Korea. Southern Cloud is actually like known for having a lot of ethnic minorities as well. Western Cloud, it's bordered by North and Apple, and so they were constantly being invaded. And so as a result, there's a strong military in Western Cloud, and there's a lot of bandits there as well. And for Eastern Cloud, the royal court is set up there, which brings me to my next point about Cloud's political structure. Cloud is ruled by a tiny 6-year-old empress who is super small and tiny and adorable, and we all love her very much. Like, look at how cute this kid is, guys. Since she's 6 years old, she doesn't actually have any sort of like real power. And so there are 4 clans in the Cloud Empire that actually run most of the empire in her place. we've got, okay, starting from left to right, we have Southern Cloud. It's the Phoenix clan, who does a lot of politics. They do a lot of, I'd say, like, trade and foreign relations. Then we have the Northern Tortoise clan, which is, they're a bunch of engineers and mechanics, and they're in charge of the architecture and infrastructure in the Cloud Empire. Then we have the Eastern Dragon clan, who is in charge of the bureaucracy, and they've been in charge of the bureaucracy for many, many, many centuries. And actually, that guy in that picture, Byung-ji, he's the regent of the Cloud Empire, and he's the one who actually holds most of the power in the Empire because, you know, the Empress is 6. And what is a 6-year-old going to do? And we have Best Girl, my wifey, the Western Tiger clan, who are in charge of the military. And something I've noticed about Cloud is that all of their leaders are really, really young. Like, the oldest Cloud head is 26. Like, and of course, I have a 6-year-old as the Empress. Their general is like 18. And there's a city in Cloud Empire, I believe, Moonlight City, who and the mayor looks like she's 12. I'm not sure if she's actually 12, but, you know, she looks like she's 12. So, a fun fact about Cloud is, so Sailing read some of the lore for the monthly suits. Can you guys hear me?
I can't hear you anymore. I'm sorry.
Okay, can you guys still hear me?
I just heard that, yes.
Okay, so what was the last thing I said? Like, that you could hear? A fun fact about Cloud is that there are pandas in Western Cloud. Everyone loves pandas. They're, like, really, really popular throughout all of Mirrorland because, of course. Some known residents, we have Lunar, we have Jinjin, we have all of the Cloud family heads who will probably have their own show one day because there's so much to say about the Cloud family heads, quite honestly. Okay. We have a lot of, like, characters from Suits, so there's a whole lore about Yokai World, I think, and, like, how everything connects to that. But yeah, there's a lot of characters in Cloud. Just a lot. I can't list all of them.
Oh.
And I think that's all I have to say for Cloud right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most other things can sort of be covered probably in a different thing. I mean, I suppose we've got about 5 minutes. We could probably just summarize.
Yeah.
Guys.
We didn't forget any nations, did we?
We forgot the Christmas Nation.
No!
Oh, yeah.
No, we don't talk about Christmas Kingdom.
Oh god, yeah, the Christmas Kingdom.
Oh my gosh.
Apparently, and that just raises so many questions. there is legitimately a Christmas Kingdom.
Probably west of Apple. It's the mountains west of Apple.
Yeah, it's not on any of the maps. It's not on any of the maps at all. It's not listed anywhere. But we know there is a Christmas. When we have the sort of the Christmas event, everyone there sort of comes from the Christmas Kingdom. It raises up so many questions for me, like, is there an Easter Kingdom? Is there a Hanukkah Kingdom?
Oh my god, do you need a Hanukkah Kingdom?
Is there just like a kingdom for every holiday?
I hope there's an Easter Kingdom and they name it Easter Island.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Yes, we need a
Thanksgiving Kingdom. Do you know what? I think they made a mistake. You know that turkey suit that we got. I can't remember. I can't remember what nation it's in. Where
What was the turkey
she's
suit?
holding the turkey.
Oh,
I think she's actually from Thanksgiving Kingdom. The turkey suit. God, I can't think what it's called.
Oh, yeah, it's in Truth. That's
Oh,
right.
it's in Truth.
She's an actress. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Where she's holding a turkey.
So we have 2 minutes left. I wanted to butt in because this sounds like amazing backstage talk. Not gonna lie, I will definitely still be listening while I'm working. But I wanted to say thank you to the lore team. That was amazing. Unfortunately, that was the first one I've gotten to listen to because I was on vacation. But if this is already where you guys are at on like your second or third show, I can't imagine where we're gonna be at in a few weeks, in a few months. So, silent round of applause from the muted audience.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you each wanna, you need like an ending song too.
Oh my gosh, we do.
Listen to lore. Dun, dun.
Have like I'll work on ditty, shall I?
Yeah.
Yes, or Sandstorm. That works.
I'm gonna close up the recording so we can all say bye to Craig and head to backstage.
Bye, Craig. Thank you.
And thank you again, everyone, for listening.
Yeah, that was awesome. Today's show was made possible by the entire Maryland Radio production team. We hope that you had as much fun listening in today as we did making this show. Until next time, this was Mirrorland Radio. Myraland? Merland. Mirrorland. Ugh.